What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, hanging out with me for a little bit. This video might be a little bit longer than usual. And really today I wanted to talk to you about just some thoughts that I've had, some information that I've not like personally discovered, but that I've discovered for myself along my journey that have really helped me in regards to my spiritual awakening and my quest for the expansion of my consciousness to become more deeply aware of the inner workings of my own mind and of reality itself. And the most important thing that I've been obsessed with since the day that I was born is the relationship between the two, between mind and environment, or mind and matter, you could say, right? And believe it or not, you've also had this obsession from the day that you were born as a necessity, right? To survive, you must understand certain key elements about yourself, what you are in this present form as a, as a jumble of whatever you want to call it, of body, mind, soul, spirit, emotions, feelings, all of this. You need to know certain things about this and certain things about your environment in order to survive. You need to understand the relationship between whatever it is that you are and the environment and life itself, reality, in order to achieve a quality life, in order to somehow fully enjoy your life while you live it. Okay? So each and every one of us has always been obsessed with this, literally from the moment you are born. Think about childbirth. What a traumatic event. It's a wonder that either the mother and the child survive this ordeal. Like, have you ever seen it? It's extreme. At least for me it is. Like, when my son was born, I almost passed out. You know? Like, it's pretty extreme for me, and like, it's mind-blowing to witness the miracle of childbirth, you know? But this is the first time you're traumatized, and when you're born, you don't know anything. You're starting off brand new. You don't know what just happened to you, right? And you just scream. When you come out and scream, okay? But you scream for a reason. You cry for a reason in the delivery room, right? Because you're experiencing some level of discomfort, this unknown discomfort. And this is because you're not breathing, right? You don't breathe air in the womb. But now when you're born into the air, you must breathe the air. And you're experiencing this intense discomfort because you're not breathing. And then something happens, you and just scream. And you take this first breath and really lock into this reality. All right? It's established. You're born, you're living now on planet Earth. You're here. You made it. You did it. Congratulations. You know? And you've learned, because shortly after you scream like this, after you cry, after they wipe you down, cut the umbilical cord, they place you on your mother's chest to feed, and all of your problems go away. And somehow you make this connection, not quite yet, not in the delivery room, but within a few short weeks or a couple months, you make this connection that anytime you're in a state of discomfort, you can scream and cry out to the universe, and some force will come and swoop you up and make all of your problems go away. Right? But eventually, this stops working so well. When you get to a certain age, you start to realize that sometimes mom and dad ignore you when you scream. And this is sort of shocking to you. And you try to babble to them, but you don't understand language. Like maybe you understand a few phrases and things, but you don't have a firm grasp on language yourself, not enough to be able to express yourself using language, right? So even though mom and dad babble back and forth and understand each other, you're not quite there yet. So you still have to rely on some alternative method of self-expression in order to communicate. And crying, like I said, sometimes isn't working as well as it used to. So what are you going to do? You're going to cry harder. You know, at this stage, you're going to begin to dramatize everything that you do. And this is a learned behavior. It's necessary for survival that you learn from the behavior of adults in your species, because obviously they're adults. What they're doing has enabled them to survive this far, right? So naturally you begin to mimic things that your parents are doing, and your parents dramatize everything, okay? And children love to copy, so they learn everything like this. They soak everything up like a sponge, right? So they learn to throw themselves on the ground and throw a fit. And the harder they do this, the quicker attention is received. Sometimes if mom's on the phone and she's really busy, she's having a conversation, just a little bit of crying won't get the job done. You really have to lay it on thick and scream. So you see what I'm saying? You understand this dramatization at a very early stage in your life, before you learn how to speak, and then you learn how to speak. And because you learned how to speak after you learned how to dramatize, language for you will oftentimes be used as a tool of dramatization. Now you will begin to dramatize using language. And you don't grow out of this. In fact, you grow into it. Like as a teenager, when you want to, when you begin to seriously consider some social event as important, like a party or a prom, a football game or something like this, you will dramatize your desire to go to your parents just so that they will allow you to go. You see? So they won't tell you no. And at the same time, they will dramatize to you all of the reasons why you should stay home and study and make sure you get a proper education to ensure a future for yourself, right? They will dramatize all of this, and you guys will sort of have this battle here, this energetic, psychic battle to see who's going to come out on top, who's going to give in first, who's going to surrender and wave the white flag, you know? And we do this through dramatization, and this is how people interact on a daily basis, this sort of battle. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't have to be your parents. It could be your girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or husband or coworker or boss or employee or whatever. But people dramatize everything in this sort of like art form of manipulation. But people invented drama for a very practical reason: to survive, right? But just like when you're an infant and you discover for yourself that crying doesn't always get you your way at a certain age, and you begin to grow out of it, you realize this, that it doesn't work like it used to, so maybe you need to adopt a new strategy. In the same way, this drama-fueled interaction, this dramatization, manipulation that we learn at a young age, this continues on through your entire life. And also, just like the crying, at a certain stage, it won't work for you anymore. You see? Now, there are a few reasons why you would want to understand this, what I'm talking about here, and begin to drop the drama in a lot of your daily interactions with human beings. when it comes to others, in terms of others, what they're really going to benefit from this is simply that you're not going to suck them into your drama. You're not going to be manipulating them in any way. They're free to make their own choices without being under your influence. You see? That's what they'll gain from it. But we have to talk about it a little more extensively when it comes to yourself, what you yourself will gain from dropping all of this drama, a little more extensively, to really, hopefully, set it in stone within your mind and make you realize the importance of this, right? So, like we've established, we begin to dramatize things at a very young age, and this continues on through your teenage years and your adult life, and even into your elderly life. Some people take this to the grave, right? And they never become aware of the fact that they're dramatizing things. But because of this, because we never become aware of the drama that's being played out, that we are actively playing out, we don't ever become aware that this drama is happening in our mind as well. And that it is in fact the mind that is generating the drama. That your mind begins to take the drama very seriously, and as a result you begin to take yourself very seriously, and you take life very seriously. And you're probably like, well, what's wrong with this? You know? And on a certain level, you're right. There's nothing wrong with taking your life seriously. People give me all sorts of reasons of why they should take their life seriously, right? Like, you only get one life to live. Life is short. And I would say that you're correct, Life is pretty short. You get, 70 or 80 years? But people commonly say that the good die young, so who really knows how long you have here? But to me, these are, on the other hand, all reasons why you wouldn't want to take your life seriously. Now, in order for me to make this point, let me ask you a very simple question. You tell me. Would you rather live a serious life, or would you rather live a sincere life? Do you think it would be more beneficial for you to be serious in all of your ways, or would it be more beneficial to be sincere in all of your ways? Would you rather seriously love your children, or would you rather sincerely love your children? There is this very, very fine line, like the razor's edge difference between seriousness and sincerity. And essentially, seriousness and sincerity are the exact same thing, only emanating from a different source. One coming from, I guess what you could call the mind, or in some schools of thought, maybe the soul, like this, right? Or your lower self. And sincerity is a more pure form of whatever this thing actually is. And this emanates from what you would call your spirit, or your heart, or your higher self, you see. To take something serious, right? The definition of serious is something that holds a special place of importance in your mind. So when you begin to take something serious in life, you have granted it a special importance. You have placed it on a pedestal of sorts, and essentially said that this is more important than anything else in the moment. That's what happened. When you take something serious, this thing becomes more important sometimes than even your own life or the life of your loved ones. If you were to have a serious conversation with someone, let's say about your religious beliefs, if you were serious and they were serious, if this was a serious conversation, eventually, because of the disagreements and the contradictions that we will be able to find because we're so serious in our intent. Seriousness implies some sort of pretense. To be serious in a conversation means that you're trying to prove something, that your only interest is proving your point of view to be true, even in the life of another person. Not only just in your life, but to prove it to be true in the life of everyone. That this is a universal truth. And you do this unconsciously, right? But a serious conversation about religion, like let's say, you and I were going to have a serious talk, real serious talk about our religions. Here, serious. Eventually, this would erupt into like it does oftentimes, name calling, like ethnic slurs, you know what I mean? Like these strange things that people call different people of different religions. And then it would go past this even. In the most extreme case, maybe we would threaten ourselves with, or threaten each other with physical violence. And in the most serious of cases, we will actually be willing to follow through with this. So we'll say something like this. Basically, essentially, this is what we would do. We would say, listen, okay, you believe in your God, and I believe in my God, the true God. So what we're going to do is we're going to go outside, we're going to fight to the death. And if you win, then your God is the one true God. But if I win, then my God is the one true God. But we'll go outside, we'll fight to the death, and we will let God decide. God will be the victor here. It's pretty extreme. That's pretty serious. That's what seriousness is. Okay? But if we were to have a sincere conversation about our beliefs in God, if we were able to drop the dramatization, which is all the seriousness, you see, which is all an act of the ego. Something that's happening unconsciously. It's all for the ego, though, for the ego to solidify some sort of identity in the short amount of time that it has, trying not to die, but eventually it will die. See? But if we could sincerely have a talk, a conversation about, our different beliefs, our different religious beliefs, then we will be coming from a different perspective, a different place with this, much more open, without pretense, without trying to judge the other religion, without trying to prove the other person to be wrong, without trying to prove yourself to be right or your religion to be right more so than the other, to prove your knowledge of the scriptures or your memorization skills or your rhetoric or whatever. All of that is abandoned in the true hope of understanding the perspective of another person. And why would you want to do this? Like, if you were like a fundamentalist Christian, why would you ever want to explore a different tradition from some other place across the world? Well, if you were a fundamentalist Christian, you wouldn't probably. But if you were able to, the reason why you would want to is because, think about it like this. Let's say you went to, like, the most prestigious Christian university in the world. Okay? It has like the best record. Their classes are the best. The subject matter is the deepest. You will come out of this with, a very well-rounded, very, very deep understanding of Christianity from going to this school. And so you go here and you go for the longest time possible, receive the highest degrees, graduate with the highest honors. You graduate in the top 1% of the history of all people that have ever been educated in the Christian sciences. And after your education, you continue to further your education on your own by developing a personal relationship with your spirituality. Okay? So you really take this serious. And at some point, though, perhaps you'll run into a problem. You can't know it all. Like the Bible and the religion of Christianity, this is something that, I don't want to call it a rabbit hole, because it's not, but like, it's something that you could look into for several lifetimes and never truly understand every single perspective or every single angle or every single translation that there possibly is. Never, right? So inevitably you will run into a problem. And it's one that you really can't solve on your own. And you're beginning to feel like you need help. But what are you going to do? Where are you going to go for help? Because remember, you went to the most prestigious Christian university, received the highest honors, graduated in the top 1%, at the top of the top 1%. Where are you going to go for help? Who's out there that's going to be able to help an expert such as yourself? It's going to be extremely hard. It's going to be an extremely rare occurrence for you to just run into somebody like this, or even to go through a lot of effort and even find someone who could possibly help you with this problem. But what if you branched out of your area of expertise? All right. Let's say we'll put this in more in more secular terms. Let's say you went to university and you studied microbiology. You specialized in microbiology. Same deal. Graduated top 1% of the class, and now you run into this problem that you can't solve. You may want to go outside of the world of microbiology and ask, someone that graduated in the top 1% in the area of marine biology. Someone with a slightly different perspective than your own when it comes to biology, and they may be able to supply you with something that just, boom, clicks, the light bulb goes off, and the problem is solved, and now you're back on the roll, and you're discovering things at a much faster rate than ever before. You've made a breakthrough, all thanks to this person that has a slightly different perspective than you. Right? The perspective might be a lot different on the level of context. Okay, you may say, well, the microbiologists and the marine biologists, that the context of what they're studying and the creatures and the way that they're looking at it, this is all vastly different, right? Yeah, that's all context, but structurally, right, they have the same scaffolding, basically, the same internal organs when it comes to their process, just using them in a slightly different way, right? And so what if you, as the expert Christian, could do this? You could branch out maybe to an expert in Buddhism and have a sincere, not a serious, but a sincere conversation with them, with their views, and it's about God, not necessarily about the religion. I don't think you really can have a sincere talk about religion, but about God, perhaps. And so together, the expert Christian and the expert Buddhist may be able to find common ground and find the parallels in their beliefs and the same qualities that they can identify in God and the same differences and all of these things. Right? And begin to gradually piece together a much bigger picture than they ever could have on their own. I know this sounds blasphemous to a lot of you guys, but for me, it's not about some grand desire to merge the religions of the world or something like this. No, it's a desire for me to understand reality, to understand the concept of God, and utilize it more fully in my life. You see? Right? And now just by simply knowing, just by listening to this and hearing about this idea, because this is what you're supposed to do with this really is to begin to think about it. Think it over for yourself. Put it in your own words. Think about how children grow and learn to dramatize things and how this continues to happen in your life. Now when you go out in the world, when you go to work, you're going to witness this happen between the people that you see. You're going to see them dramatize things that really aren't that serious. They're going to make mountains out of molehills, right? And then you're going to become aware of perhaps the ways that you do this in your life, and then you'll stop doing this in your life. And you will graduate. Because like I said, this is something you learned in childhood. It's just like crying. Remember that at some point crying didn't work so well. And at some point dramatization doesn't work that well. It will never yield the desired results, right? But when you drop it, you'll discover something new. Because remember, this dramatization, this is like a battle of wills. This is an energetic battle that's going on. Like, have you ever spoken to someone and left the conversation feeling completely, like mentally or emotionally drained? This is the reason, because there's this drama being enacted. There's this real manipulation that's happening. Each person is trying to suck energy or suck the attention from this person, or trying to make them feel smaller intellectually in order to gain the upper hand in a debate or an argument. Whether the argument is scientific, religious, moralistic, ethical, doesn't matter. This is what people do, and it's a learned behavior, but you can unlearn this behavior. And you're taking the first steps now by simply becoming aware of it. You won't catch it before it happens, most likely. You'll catch it after it happens. You'll partake in this, you'll run this entire drama all the way through to the end with a person, and then you'll see it. You'll be like, whoa, you'll catch it. Hindsight's 20/20, right? You'll catch it and be like, dang, dude, I did that. And I probably always do that. I've always done that. You know, and gradually you'll get quicker and quicker at catching it before it happens, and then you'll have it on a tight leash. Before you know it, you're on to the next thing, right? You've reined that in. You're free from it. Anyway, I'm not a professional with anything, you know, and I can hardly get two words together coherently to make sense. But I hope you got something out of this video. I'm not providing you with advice. If you do perhaps engage in any sort of thought experiment from the ideas that I present to you on this channel, I can only wish you good luck and let you know that you're 100% responsible for the changes that take place in your reality when you begin to make changes in your mind, okay? You have to understand that this is possible. When you read a book, a good book, one that you truly resonate with, or when you watch a great film, or you're engaged in a great show, like a lot of people are real on like The Walking Dead, right? It has so many fans, and they're dedicated to the show. These things don't end when the series end. These books don't end when you put them down. They continue to play on in your heart. They like become a part of you, right? Even the YouTube videos that you watch. This is the meaning of like planting seeds. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that you water, the ideas that you water, those are the ones that will grow. See? So, anyway,